The story begins with a shock so deep it silenced the entire music world. Jubilant Sykes. The beloved Grammy-nominated baritone, known for his soul-stirring voice and unmatched emotional delivery, has been stabbed to death inside his own home in the quiet coastal community of Santa Monica, California. He was 71 years old. Even more devastating, police say the person who ended his life wasn't a stranger, an intruder, or a deranged fan. It was his own son, Micah Sykes, a 31-year-old man whose long battle with mental illness now stands at the center of this heartbreaking tragedy. Inside that Santa Monica home, where moments of music, love, and family once echoed through the halls, everything changed in a matter of minutes. Authorities received a frantic 911 call from none other than Cesaly Sykes, Jubilant's wife of nearly 40 years, a woman who had stood beside him through gospel triumphs, world-class performances, and global tours. Police say she was inside the house when the attack happened, witnessing a nightmare no parent, no spouse, no human being should ever have to endure. When first responders rushed in, they found Jubilant Sykes unresponsive, and despite their efforts, he was declared dead at the scene. Moments later, officers encountered Micah, standing inside the home, surrendering quietly without resistance. His bail is now set at $2 million, and investigators say the cause and motive behind the killing remain under review. People who knew Jubilant can't understand how such darkness found its way into a man so full of light. A man who lived through music, not as entertainment, but as spiritual truth. Friends, colleagues, and followers of his work remember him speaking openly about pain, faith, love, and human imperfection. In one of his most moving reflections, Jubilant once said, "Life is painful, excruciatingly so. But if God is true, if he is real, then he's bigger than all my sin. He's bigger than every mistake, every tear, every shadow." These words, once a beacon of hope, now hang in the air with heartbreaking weight. How could someone who gave so much healing to the world end his own life in such unimaginable anguish? But the truth is, this story is more complex than a simple tragedy. Police confirm that Micah Sykes has battled mental illness for years. Whether those struggles played a role in the horrific attack is still unknown. But investigators and mental health experts say these cases are rarely sudden. They unravel quietly over long periods of time, years, even decades, through emotional strain, untreated trauma, or invisible battles families often fight behind closed doors. This wasn't a moment of random violence. It was the final breaking point of a long and painful family history, though the details of that story have not been made public. What the world does know is the man we lost, Jubilant Sykes, a profound artist who rose from modest beginnings to stand on some of the most prestigious stages on earth. His collaborations read like a who's who of the music world: Julie Andrews, Josh Groban, Carlos Santana, and the late Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. He didn't just perform, he transformed rooms. Whether he was singing gospel, spirituals, or classical masterpieces, his voice had the power to crack a crowd open emotionally, leaving people changed, humbled, uplifted. One of the crowning moments of his career came at Carnegie Hall in New York City, where he took the stage in Leonard Bernstein's Mass in 2008. It was a role requiring depth, vulnerability, intensity, and Jubilant delivered a performance so extraordinary that the recording, created with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, earned a Grammy nomination. For any artist, Carnegie Hall is a dream. For Jubilant Sykes, it was destiny fulfilling itself. But what people loved most about him was not the fame, not the awards, not the spotlight. It was his humility. Despite performing around the world, he always returned home, always stayed grounded. He never turned his back on the community that shaped him. He continued to sing at his local church, to volunteer his time, to share joy with everyday people who never expected a world-renowned artist to walk through their doors. To them, he wasn't just a star, he was family. Many remember seeing him at Cal State Fullerton, his alma mater, where he routinely returned to mentor aspiring performers. In those classrooms and rehearsal halls, he spoke from a place of honesty and vulnerability, telling his students, "Even though I'm older, I see myself in your eyes, the longing to be great, the insecurities, the doubts. I'm not removed from that. I'm broken. We are all broken, but I try not to live by looking at myself. I look at whom I serve and know that he loves me in spite of me. These words now feel tragically poetic. A man acknowledging the fragility of life, the cracks in every human soul, the invisible struggles even the strongest people face. Tonight, fans across the world are grieving. The Christian music community is grieving. His colleagues in classical and gospel fusion are grieving. Friends who shared stages with him, artists who admired him, and students who learned from him all say the same thing. He was a good man, a gentle man, a man who poured himself into others. And that's what makes this loss so devastating. How could a man so dedicated to lifting others up fall victim to the darkest of human tragedies? Meanwhile, investigators say the case is still unfolding. Early reports confirm that no other individuals were involved, and no evidence points to an intruder or outside threat. It was a family matter, a deeply personal, deeply painful one. Mental health professionals interviewed by reporters say that incidents like these often emerge from a long history of untreated or undertreated mental health challenges. They emphasize that while mental illness does not excuse violence, it can significantly shape behavior, perception, and emotional control, especially when destabilized. Family members in these situations often face impossible circumstances, torn between love, fear, responsibility, and hope. The Sykes family's silence so far suggests a wound too fresh, too deep, too personal to discuss publicly. But what does this mean for Micah now? He stands behind bars, awaiting formal charges, with his bail set at $2 million, a number that reflects the severity of the crime and the public shock surrounding it. Prosecutors will examine his medical history, his psychological state, and the events leading up to that horrific moment. The legal system will try to unravel the truth. Was this a moment of psychotic break, a long-building emotional collapse, or something darker? For now, the answers remain hidden behind police station walls and unanswered questions. As the world mourns, many are also reflecting on the fragility of fame. Jubilant Sykes lived a life filled with art, love, spirituality, and purpose. But even a man of faith, a man of brilliance, a man of gratitude is not immune to the tragedies life can deliver. His death forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about mental illness, family pain, and the unpredictable cruelty of destiny. Colleagues who performed with him say this loss feels unreal, impossible, like a beautiful voice silenced too soon. Though fans who heard him sing at Carnegie Hall, or in church pews, or in recordings that brought comfort during their hardest days say they feel as though they've lost not just a musician, but a mentor, a guide, a reminder of grace. Even those who met him briefly say he radiated kindness, a man who could fill a room without ego, who could warm a stage without arrogance, who could touch a stranger's heart without ever speaking a word. And yet, the greatest tragedy is not just how he died, but the fact that a man who dedicated his life to healing others could not escape the suffering within his own home. Today, as tributes flood social media, fans share clips of his performances, his interviews, his powerful spiritual reflections. They share memories of how his voice moved them, how his words comforted them, how his presence inspired them. Many are posting his now haunting lines. "Glory to God in the highest, and peace on earth to all men." Lines that celebrated hope. Lines that now echo with a heartbreaking contrast. Peace, tragically broken inside his own family. As the investigation continues, the world waits for answers, for justice, for understanding. But even without knowing every detail, one truth remains. Jubilant Sykes deserved better. His wife deserved better. His family deserved better. And his legacy, built on compassion, humility, and unmatched artistic brilliance, will forever stand taller than the darkness that took him. Tonight, the world remembers Jubilant Sykes not for the way he died, but for the way he lived. A man whose voice soared through some of the greatest concert halls in the world, yet also through humble church sanctuaries and crowded university rehearsal rooms. A man who embraced vulnerability, acknowledged pain, and believed deeply in the healing power of faith. A man who returned home after every triumph, never forgetting where he came from, always giving back. The story of his death is tragic, but the story of his life, that is where the light remains. And that light, the music, the mentorship, the compassion, will live forever in the hearts of those who heard him, learned from him, and loved him. Rest in peace, Jubilant Sykes.